Good morning. I'm battling a little cold here. My name is Rose Jeffrey. I'm Corporate Secretary of Harlem Community Development Corporation. I'd like to note for the record that this meeting is being webcast. The position of chairperson of the Board of Directors is currently vacant. Robert's Rules of Order state that in the absence of a chairman or vice president, it is the duty of the secretary to call the meeting to order and to preside until the election of a chairman pro tem. I now call to order this meeting of the directors of the Harlem Community Development Corporation for Friday, May 11th, 2018. It is proposed that the directors elect Keisha Sutton James as chairperson pro tem for the purpose of chairing today's meeting. Is there any objection to Ms. Sutton James serving as chairperson pro tem? Hearing no objection to Keisha serving as chairperson pro tem, Keisha will serve as chairperson pro tem. I will now turn the meeting over to Madam Chairperson.
Thank you all very much. I am indeed honored to serve as chair for this May 4th, 2018 meeting of the Harlem Community Development Corporation. The directors have received the relevant written materials in advance of today's meeting and are free to ask questions at any time. Consistent with the policy of our parent corporation, Empire State Development, we welcome public comment on the items on the agenda. After each item is presented and any comments are received from the directors, we will allow members of the public to provide comments. All comments should be limited to 2 minutes and should address the item that is under consideration. Before we begin with the substantive portion of the meeting, I would like to ask the directors whether anyone has any potential conflict of interest with respect to the items on today's agenda. If so, I would ask that you please make an appropriate disclosure on the record at this time. We will then be sure to recuse yourselves from any discussion or vote with regard to such item or items. Okay. All right, the foregoing has been noted. There are no conflicts. Before we move on, we have a couple of new faces in the room, so if we can go around the table and do introductions, I'll start.
Eunice Jackson, counsel from Empire State Development.
Ruth Wisnauskas, Commissioner, New York State Homes and Community Renewal.
Dana Reed, trustee.
Melinda Velez, council member, Ayala's office.
Greg, trustee.
Peter Dean for the Superintendent of Financial Services, Maria Bula.
LaShawn Henry, Assembly Member Robert Rodriguez.
Christina Doja, Chief of Staff of State Senator Brian Benjamin.
Eric Cuello, Office of Councilmember Mark Levine.
Athena Moore, Director for Gail Brewer, Manhattan Borough President.
Nicole McLeod for Assemblyman O'Donnell.
Keith Lilly, Bill Parkins' office.
Lamont Mays, Chief of Staff for New York State Assemblyman Brian Anthony's office.
Michelle Booker, Deputy District Director for Adriana Espial's office.
Curtis Archer, Harlem Community Development Corporation.
Tom Lunke, Harlem Community Development Corporation.
Destiny Burns, ESD.
Terrence Cherry, ESD Real Estate.
Excellent. Our first order of business is the approval of the minutes of the directors' meeting of March 16, 2018. I will entertain a motion for approval.
I have a correction.
Okay.
I no longer represent council member Melissa Marpimerito. It is Diana Ayala.
Right. Okay.
And I am, my title is senior counsel, not special counsel.
Okay. I'm going to do that, even though it's not my job to do that. Okay, so both of those comments have been noted. May I entertain a vote for approval?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Second? Sean? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. I will now ask Mr. Archer to present materials for the adoption of the revised guidelines for the use, awarding, monitoring, and reporting of procurement contracts for the corporation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The directors are requested for authorization to adopt the Empire State Development Pre-Qualified Owners Representatives List. Among its many functions, ESD and its subsidiaries, which include Harlem Community Development Corporation.
It's procurement. It's procurement contracts.
Oh, okay. Let's see if I have that. Gotcha. Okay. The directors are being requested to authorize the adoption of revised guidelines for the use, awarding, monitoring, and reporting of procurement contracts. At our April 4th, 2016 meeting, the HCDC directors adopted revised guidelines for the use, awarding, monitoring, and reporting of procurement contracts as mandated by 2879 of the Public Authorities Law, the guidelines. There have been no substantive changes to relevant laws, executive orders, and directions to authorities. In the past 2 years, however, in the past year, the governor has issued executive orders requiring pay equity by state contractors, Executive Order 162, and prohibiting state contracts with entities that do not maintain adequate policies to address discrimination, Executive Order 177. In addition, the authority's budget office released policy guidelines 17-02, which recommends, among other things, that public authority guidelines describe their prompt payment procedures. Accordingly, ESD procurement managers and staff from the legal department, supported by representatives of the contracts administration and finance departments, engaged in a revision of the guidelines. On March 29, 2018, the ESD board adopted the revised guidelines, the 2018 guidelines, which designated to govern procurements by ESD and its subsidiaries such as HCDC. A copy of the proposed 2018 guidelines is attached. Notable changes from the 2016 guidelines include prohibition of contracting with entities that fail to maintain policies that address discrimination. 2, links to updated workforce utilization report forms to comply with Executive Order 162, and guidance about ESD's prompt payment procedures. Approval is sought for the adoption of the 2018 guidelines by the board, with the exception that the threshold for requiring board approval of procurements above $50,000 shall remain in effect with respect to procurements by the corporation. The directors are requested to adopt the 2018 guidelines, with the exception described in the materials for the use, awarding, monitoring, and reporting of procurement contracts, effective as of the date of approval.
Is there any discussion? Any comments from the public? I will entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
May I have a second? Good. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next, Mr. Archer will present materials for the adoption of the New York State Urban Development Corp. DBA Empire State Development Corp. pre-qualified owners representatives.
Back to that list again. The directors are requested for authorization to adopt the Empire State Development Pre-Qualified Owners Representatives List. Among its many functions, ESD and its subsidiaries, which include Harlem Community Development Corporation, implement or facilitate a number of large and complex economic development projects and initiatives. The size, nature, complexity, and timing of these projects typically require ESD and the corporation to call on the assistance of construction management firms to act as owners representatives, or in some cases, actively manage some projects. To permit ESD and its subsidiaries to respond to the needs of these projects expeditiously while having available the benefits of a broad solicitation of construction management firms, ESD's real estate department maintains a list of pre-qualified construction management firms to act as owners' representatives. On December 20th, 2016, ESD staff placed an advertisement in the New York State Contract Reporter requesting proposals from construction management firms to provide construction review and monitoring services and/or actively manage construction projects in order to ensure that recipients of ESD grants, loans, and other forms of economic assistance comply with applicable ESD construction requirements and industry standards. In addition to the advertisement, emails were also sent out to a list of state-certified minority and women-owned business enterprises, MBE and WBE respectively, with a known history of providing owners' representative services. As stated in the solicitation, respondents were required to demonstrate proficiency and understanding in all areas of construction, project administration, and management in order to be pre-qualified to provide such services to ESD and its subsidiaries in the future. The solicitation also noted that ESD may call on the construction management firms to inspect specific aspects, monitor progress, or perform ad hoc services relating to a construction project. A total of 37 firms responded to the solicitation. Responses were then evaluated to determine if each firm should be pre-qualified based on the following criteria: anticipated cost of services, relevant firm experience, qualifications and experience of staff, diversity and commitment to equal opportunity programs, and the firm's status as an MBE, WBE, and/or service-disabled veteran-owned business. Based on this review, staff recommended the approval of all 37 firms listed on Attachment A to these materials as pre-qualified owners' representatives. Adoption of the list will not authorize the retention of any firm. Instead, the requested authorization serves to make available to the corporation a selection of firms that have been identified through a broad solicitation process. In the future, this would allow staff to select from among the pre-qualified firms, and after evaluation of those firms for a particular project, to make a recommendation to the directors for retention in connection with such projects, without the need for conducting individual solicitations in each instance. This should save 2 or more months that is normally needed to conduct a solicitation, perform the necessary review, and formulate a recommendation. The list will remain active until April 2020, renewable for up to 1 additional year at the discretion of the President. I recommend, and the Board is requested to adopt ESD's list of pre-qualified firms, included in Attachment A, to these materials as qualified to advise the corporation as owners' representatives.
Is there any discussion? Are there any comments from the public? I will.
One question.
Okay, sorry.
Yes. This list, are these all Harlem-based owners represented on this list, or these are throughout New York State?
Throughout New York State.
Yeah.
You feel like something. Yeah. It's like the Lamar, Jones LaSalle, and those.
What percent are MWBs?
I'm not sure.
They're marked on the, I don't have a.
Oh, is that what that is? Okay. I didn't know what that
Those are those.
They're identified as M or W.
That's good, okay.
How does, you know, because there are a lot of construction firms that aren't on here, that are, you know, that probably didn't know how to qualify. So how do they find out where they can apply or qualify? Most alerts, I know MWBEs, they get automatic alerts and things, and they're already in the system. But someone that's not an MWBE, that is an independent construction company, how do they get on here?
The listings, the solicitation is posted in the contract reporter, which all, you know, it's available to anyone who logs on to a New York State website of any, I think all of the New York State entities have a link to the contract reporter, and that's the process through which firms see the solicitations for different RFPs are posted there. This was an RFP as well. So that's how a firm would generally find out about it unless they're already doing business with the state, in which case they may, if they're not doing business with the state, then the contract reporter is the way to go.
Yeah, if they go on the contract reporter website, and I can share that with you later when I find the exact link.
The point is that you have a lot of construction companies that don't necessarily have that type of bureaucracy, that do not have the wherewithal to continually check things with New York State or New York City. Now, the outreach, that's basically you say you got to go on the site and you have to navigate yourself.
Well, no, what I was about to say was that they can sign up to automatically receive all solicitations from the contract reporter. They sign up to be on the email list, and they will automatically receive all of that.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Okay, I will entertain a motion for approval. Thank you. And may I have a second? Thank you, Dana. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Mr. Archer will now present materials for the authorization to enter into a contract for construction management services in connection with the Victoria Theater redevelopment projects.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The directors are being requested to authorize Harlem CDC to enter into a contract for construction management services with Works in Progress Associates, WPA. WPA would serve as HCDC's owner's representative on the Victoria Theater project. The Victoria Theater redevelopment project is underway and scheduled for completion in 2019. The development team is led by 233 West 125th Street, Danforth, and includes Flintlock Construction Services and Off-Gang Architects. As many of you remember, it is a $164 million project that will transform the long vacant Victoria Theater into a 385,000 square foot and 27-story mixed-use development consisting of a 200-key full-service hotel, 200 affordable and market-rate residential rental units, 25,000 square feet of retail space, and 25,000 square feet of cultural space, the cultural unit. The Victoria project will be operated as a condominium with HCDC as the owner of the cultural unit condominium. In June 2015, the HCDC directors conditionally designated Apollo Theater Foundation as the operator and manager of the cultural unit. The owner's rep will represent HCDC's interests as owner during the construction phase of the Victoria project, including the build-out of the cultural unit. Specifically, HCDC's goal in retaining an owner's rep is to oversee the construction of the cultural unit project and manage the schedule, cost, quality, and coordination of its build-out within the overall construction of the Victoria project. WPA was selected among 5 construction management firms invited to apply from the pre-qualified owner's rep list established by ESD's Real Estate Development Department last year. All proposals were evaluated by representatives from HCDC, ESD, and the Apollo. Based on the selection criteria consisting of staff qualifications, experience, quality of relevant experience, their proposed project plan, diversity, and their proposed fee. 3 firms were selected for interviews. WPA's proposal scored the highest. WPA is a New York State certified women-owned business, WBE, and its project team has a wealth of experience providing construction management services for similar projects. The initial contract term will be for 2 years, beginning May 2018, ending May 2020. The contract amount for the period is not to exceed $534,182, inclusive of fees, expenses, and a 10% contingency. The contract will be renewable at the option of the President for up to 2 additional terms of 1 year, each of an amount not to exceed $267,091 annually, inclusive of fees, expenses, and a 10% contingency. for a total engagement of up to 4 years, not to exceed $1,068,364, including exclusive of all fees, expenses, and a 10% contingency. Based on the foregoing, I recommend the approval of the requested actions.
Thank you. Any discussion?
I have a question about the plan itself for the project. Of those units, the 200 units, how many will be affordable and how many will be market rate?
Recollection, and I can confirm it, is it's 50%, but there are levels of affordability within that 50% that I don't know.
That's okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Has the Apollo said what the cultural unit will actually entail? Like, do we know their plans?
There are plans. I think I haven't seen the latest version, but they have been working with the Victoria's developers, architect. It's the original RFP and the original proposal contemplates 2 black box theaters.
Yeah, still that remains
that's
99 and a 199 seat black box theater.
Okay.
Yeah.
As well as office space for cultural partners.
Right.
And there may be a small gallery / retail space, but it's about 600 square feet, and that the use of that is still to be determined for that smaller space. But yeah, it's going to be a 199 seat theater and a 99 seat theater to support local community theater and music production companies.
Holly, do you have a question? No? Any other questions, comments? Are there any comments from the public? I will entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
And may I have a second? Dana. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Next, Curtis Archer will present the President's report. This item is being presented for information only, and no vote will be required. Curtis?
In your packets is the attached President's report. If there's anything I'd like to do is give you guys an update in terms of an event happening next Thursday, and this will be a joint effort between the state parks, Department of Labor, and the offices of Assemblymember Al Taylor. And that will be the 3rd annual Spring Career Fair that will be over at Riverbank. Please let any of your constituents know about this. It's going to be very, very important and valuable that they be there, because right now as we speak there are more than 55 vendors who will be in attendance who have said that they actually have jobs available for that, including we will have also representatives from East Harlem, like Strive, and East Harlem Talent Network will be in attendance. In addition, the Workforce One Center and others. So please let your constituency know. I'm going to just send this around and pass that. Thanks. And that's really it. Also, if any of the constituents are interested in any of the small business services, as you know, we have a series of workshops, and I'd like to thank Board Member Holly Drakeford for also arranging for a informational session over at the Hunter Building on 3rd Avenue and 119th Street. Good turnout, but all of our particular workshops cover the gamut of subject matter, such as access to financing, having your business online, trademarks, negotiating a commercial lease. All of those particular things are free and open to the public, so we encourage you to get the word out. And if you're not receiving email blasts from us, please let me know so that I can make sure that you guys are in the know about when these are happening. And we also welcome from you guys any particular content that you think might be valuable to the small business community. Please let us know, and we will take it into consideration. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Curtis. Thank you, Curtis. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn. Very good.
Curtis?
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
New
Oh,
yes.
I was having a little bit of difficulty, actually, oh God, printing out. It did not. So I'm calling on one of my board members, Ms. Dana Reed, to announce an event that's also open to the greater Harlem community. Ms. Reed.
Yes, and we will send emails out. The Africa Center is partnering with the Museum of Art and Design to offer our community free admission to several of their exhibits coming up, one of which is the Derek Adams exhibit, which is a African-American up-and-coming artist right now. And it's an amazing, I think, for kids, grandparents, all of us. And so we are offering our entire community free admission, and so we will get notification out to everybody, but please spread the word.
And everybody know where the Africa Center is? 110th and 5th Avenue on the southeast corner.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's very exciting news. Thank you both for sharing. And I did have a motion from Holly. Unless anyone else has anything else they'd like to share.
When is this happening?
So it's ongoing. So the Derek Adams is through August 12th, and then there's 3 other exhibits that are going through September, October. So it's come at will.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And I'll say just one last thing, because I did see it coming from the Borough President's office. If you might also send over your list of activities for the summer, I'll make sure that I blast it to the board.
Yes, no problem. We have the summer events listing. And I also want to share very briefly that on May 22nd, we will be co-sponsoring with Public Advocate Tish James, a charter revision commission town hall, and more details will be coming, but it'll be May 22nd from 6 to 8 p.m.
That's very important. Thank you. Anyone else? Sure.
Can I see?
Yep.
I
suspected something was a brewing over there.
I just also wanted to announce that ESD, in conjunction with HDR, we just released an RFP for purchase and redevelopment of the former Brooklyn Developmental Center in East New York. So we are seeking solicitation. So if you know of any interested parties, please feel free to spread the word. The RFP is on our website. It's a great opportunity. It's 29 acres right next to the Gateway Center right here in Jamaica Bay. And we're hoping for really exciting proposals for mixed-use development for the site.
Thank you. Anything else? All right. So can we take Holly Drakeford's motion to adjourn? I will accept that, and I thank you very much. This meeting of the directors of the Harlem Community Development Corp is adjourned.
Thank you.